Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I am George. So this morning we all wake up to a new all-time high for Bitcoin. It is now at 23,300, and by the time I do my live stream at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, it could be at $24,000. But I wanted to show you guys, I actually found another Bitcoin bear, and I want to do a reaction video to his interview on Bloomberg because what he's saying is totally ridiculous. He's trying to make fun of people that are trying to get into Bitcoin for not understanding Bitcoin, but he himself sounds like he has no clue on what's going on. So let's have some fun with this. Let's get started. So the bear of the day is David Rosenberg, who is the founder and chief economist of Rosenberg Research. Okay, so not a big fund manager or anything like that. Let's take a look.
Noir Robini was on the other day, absolutely scathing. We had Scott Minerd of Guggenheim yesterday talking about the scarcity factor, the proxy to gold, and that Bitcoin would go now from 10 to 20 up to $400,000 per whatever the unit is of the unit. David Rosenberg on Bitcoin, discuss.
Well, I'll just say that you speak to most people that are asking me to put money in Bitcoin. They can't even tell you who the person was that developed it or even how it's actually mined. So it's just a classic follow the herd, extremely crowded trade.
Okay, let's stop right there. Right, so I get there's people that want to FOMO in, right? But his argument's like people don't know who created it. Does he? Does David know? Does anyone know who created it? We all know that that it's a person or a group of people under the pseudonym Satoshi Nakamoto. That's it. It doesn't really matter at this point. They built out something glorious and marvelous, and it has taken off. But the key thing is, right now what's happening is institutions are FOMOing in, not retail investors. It's mostly institutional investors, and we know that, right? And David knows that too, because in a little bit he's going to talk about it, but he dodges over that right now. So let's continue.
It's in a massive bubble, and everybody seems to believe that we're going to get to that 21 million cap on the supply constraint. But there's really nothing in the protocol to suggest that the supply of Bitcoin can't go up once we hit that limit. The one thing we do know about gold.
Okay, let's stop right there. Yes, we do. Yes, we do, David. It's built into the code for the last 12 years. We've seen it. We see exactly how much gets released. It's controlled by code. There's a halving event. Everything is set. And there's a set supply of 21 million, right? And it's ridiculous for him to imply otherwise.
We know the supply curve of gold with certainty. We don't know the future supply curve of Bitcoin. People think they know, but they don't really know.
Yes, they do. The people that don't know is you, David. You're the only person that doesn't know that. The supply curve of gold. The reason why you know the supply curve of gold is because it's being controlled, right? And that's not a good thing. You don't want artificial control over something like gold, which is happening right now. And Bitcoin, the supply curve, is controlled by mathematics, by code. It's incorruptible. There's a big difference, right? So I don't know what David's talking about. Now he's just causing FUD. The supply is set by code, and no one is there to change it. That's how it's always been. That is why it's scarce. That's why it's going up. And for him to imply that gold is somehow more scarce than Bitcoin, that's utterly garbage.
So I would just say that it's a massive bubble, and it's extremely difficult to value, do any intrinsic work on what Bitcoin should be worth.
David, do governments, including Canada, have established more conservative than the U.S. with their monetary history? Do governments have a responsibility to burst the bubble, or do they wait for the market to do it?
I don't think that it's the government's responsibility to burst any bubble. But I think at some point you are going to find more of a proliferation of government-led digital currencies that'll act as some form of competition.
Okay, so something that we do agree upon is the fact that, yeah, I don't think that government should be popping or trying to pop a bubble if one exists for Bitcoin, right? And yes, governments will come out with digital currencies. Now, when he say compete, I don't believe that. I think they will come out digital currency, but digital currency, if the US comes out digital dollar, China coming out digital yen, it's still a sovereign currency. It's just digital, and they still can control it, right? Through their monetary policy and so forth. There's still going to be built-in inflation. Unlike Bitcoin, Bitcoin is non-sovereign. It could be used worldwide, right? And it's not controlled by any central bank or any government. So everything is programmed. Everything is controlled by mathematics and code, right? So there's a big difference between a sovereign digital currency and a non-sovereign digital currency like Bitcoin.
Part of the problem here, of course, is that you can argue that Bitcoin is somewhat related to the lack of faith in fiat currencies. So it's a self-defeating prophecy. But governments aren't there to burst any bubbles. And look, the thing about Bitcoin is the last time it behaved like this, in such a speculative fervor, notwithstanding the fact that, you might have, wealthy fund managers calling for higher Bitcoin prices and are actually putting their own money behind it. The reality is that the chart just looks absolutely.
So you see what he did there? He dug a hole that he couldn't get out of. So he's talking about how these wealthy and famous hedge fund managers, they're talking about Bitcoin. They themselves are putting money into Bitcoin, right? And then he's thinking, oh, shoot, I can't counter that because I'm not a wealthy hedge fund manager. I don't control hundreds of billions of dollars of investments. Okay, let's talk about charts. And he's like, oh, the charts look outrageous. So he dug a hole for himself and he couldn't get out. Remember at the beginning, I was saying that he's basically talking about retail FOMO, but that's not what's happening right now. Right now, it's institutional FOMO. And he knows it, but he doesn't want to talk about it because he can't counter it because he's not even at the same level of those guys. He's just a researcher of his own firm. So, I mean, that's the thing. He knows it. All the biggest fund managers in the world, I'm talking about the biggest companies out there, right? The Wall Street darlings, the ones that hold hundreds of billions of dollars of investments, and they're all jumping into Bitcoin. So how do you counter that?
Crazy right now. And the last time it undertook this degree of speculative fervor, which was in late 2017, it went on to have an 80% bear market. I mean, the thing about Bitcoin, and the reason why it's not really a valid investment thesis, is that it's so bloody volatile. It's 5 times the volatility of gold.
5 times the volatility of gold, yet it continues to outperform gold each and every year. David sounds like a gold bug. I think he's really trying to protect gold, so he must be invested in gold. This argument that 2020 is the same as 2017 is invalid because he himself knows that institutions are coming in and coming in hard. They're the reason why Bitcoin is being driven up, not retail FOMO, unlike 2017, right? So you could see he's desperately trying to bring up FUD, like, oh, we don't know who created it. Some people don't know how mining works, right? And it's very much like 2017 is so volatile and blah, 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 right? Making all these arguments, trying to cling on to the past when we know it's very, very different in 2020. So what do you guys think about what David Rosenberg said? I mean, for him to even counteract Scott Minerd of Guggenheim, I mean, are they even on the same level? And do you really think he understands Bitcoin, saying that there's no set supply? There's no set curve in terms of how much is being produced? I mean, it's just utterly ridiculous in my opinion. So what do you think? Do you agree or not agree? Leave your thoughts below. Thanks for watching, guys. If you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and stay tuned for my live stream at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. Take care. Bye-bye.